I, 57 male, retired to the South 5 years ago. My kids are adults and we aren't really close. Mostly my fault. I worked away from home, so they were primarily raised by their moms. I bought an acreage called a finca and I rent it out for events. I have an outdoor dance floor, a pool, and a 20-person guest house. I also built up some areas for pictures. I live in my own house on the property. So now to the conflict. I refuse to let any of my family stay with me anymore. I did for the first year, and they all abused my goodwill. They wouldn't clean up after themselves. They would pick fruit off my trees and waste them. They wouldn't listen when I told them not to go on the pool on Mondays because that was cleaning day, and a whole bunch of other things. My daughter wants to have her wedding here. My house looks like the casita from the Disney movie Encanto. She's obsessed with it. So she wants to have a destination wedding on my property, which I would be fine with, I think. But then she tells me her guests will stay there for a week before the wedding, and that since they're paying for the flights, they shouldn't have to pay for a place to stay as well. Yeah, I'm not super happy about that. So I say that they can do it one of two ways. They can pay me to have extra stuff on hand to clean up after them and cook for them, or they can have the ceremony, pictures, and reception here, and then stay at a hotel. I even volunteered to pick up the bill for the hotel. It would cost me more than what I earned from renting out my place, but it would be worth it not to deal with the headache of entitled people. I let her bring her friends down here when she graduated from university, and they left the place in shambles. I found an entire bunch of bananas in the pool. Not a bunch like in the grocery store, like 60 bananas. They ripped them off a plant and threw them in the pool. These were all human adults. Her mom is calling me an idiot for holding it against her. My son, her half-brother, is posting about how I'm just a miserable guy, sitting down here and not wanting to see my family. Not true. When he came down with his girlfriend, I put them up in a nice hotel about 20 minutes away. Why? Because I had to pay my pool guy to fix my filter pump because his girlfriend's panties were stuck in it the last time he came down. I know I sound like a grumpy old man, but I don't think that makes me an idiot. I was so ready to call you an idiot. Then I got halfway through and thought, maybe, but you're offering to host the wedding and pay for hotels because they trashed the place last time? They're all acting super entitled to get mad about this, and just incredibly spoiled and rude that they've acted this way at your place. You are not the idiot. That was my exact journey through the story. OP is entirely reasonable, and is in fact practically bending over backward to find a way to make his daughter happy, while also not being screwed over by the repeated bad behavior of the people who will be the guest. I wouldn't want to see my family either if they were like these idiots, and a week before the wedding? I'm sorry, nope. Tell them the casita is closed to them until they learn basic respect and basic manners. If you have photos of the terrible state they left the place in when they left, share them on social media. I don't want repeat business from people that trash the place. Doesn't matter if they're family or not. I suspect the flying monkeys they've sent will start singing a different tune. The panties and the 60 bananas? My goodness, these are adults. You're not holding crap they did as kids over their heads. The fact your son's girlfriend's underwear resulted in repairs out of your pocket would infuriate me. The level of entitlement from those folks is mind-boggling. Yep, they need to accept one or the other of your offers, or take themselves elsewhere to destroy someone else's property. You are more than generous. Last weekend, I, 36 male, decided that I was going to make my family, my wife 35, and kids, 2 tween females and a tween male, a big breakfast spread as part of the lame, according to our oldest daughter, family time that we decided to have that day. The plan was to have breakfast together, watch a movie, have lunch, and play some games as a family before we release the kids from the clutches of the, again, lame family time. So anyway, I got up early, heated up the waffle iron and the huge stovetop skillet, and went to work making waffles, scrambled eggs, bacon, sausage, and hash browns. As I was finishing and the kids had plated up, my wife asked me to throw a couple of eggs over easy on for her. She's the only one in our family who can stand runny yolks. The kids know I will touch them, but she really likes them. I just told her, nah, I'm finishing up already. If you really want a couple of eggs your way and want to make them yourself, go for it, but I'm done." She responded, "You're already cooking. I'm in the mood for a couple of over-easy eggs. Why can't you just throw them on for me?" I refused, which then turned into more of a quiet, bickering argument than it should have been. It's been on my mind since, and on the one hand, I feel bad my wife just asked me for a small favor that wouldn't have been a big deal at all to fulfill, but on the other hand, I had made plenty of food already. My wife likes scrambled eggs too, just fine, and there was plenty of food for her to eat, so why did she need to go insisting on her special request? It was honestly a silly, petty fight, but I'm curious who people think was in the right. Am I the idiot? Is your bickering wife where your kids don't like family time? She does 75% of the household cooking, and you can't do this for her when it's a family breakfast? Why did you pick this hill to die on? It probably would have taken you the same time to make them as it did to tell her you wouldn't do it. It would have taken you less time to make the eggs than write this darn story. He knows his wife likes eggs that way and just doesn't make them for her. He gave her the eat them my way or make them yourself, and the children see this. I feel for OP's wife. If she sticks up for herself, the kids just see two adults bickering on top of the inconsideration toward the mother. You are the idiot. If this were family time for me and I was cooking breakfast, I would have known how my spouse likes their eggs and made them over easy while making scrambled. Like when I cooked for my mom, I would pull some bacon out early because she likes it floppy, or remove some of the scrambled eggs early for my sister because I like mine rubberized. This is what people who care about someone else's needs, desires, and preferences do. That's my idea of family time. Nothing says family time like part of the family getting into a fight over nothing and the rest of the family having to sit in uncomfortable silence and pretend like nothing's happening. OP, it's the little things that add up, isn't it? We don't always want big grand gestures. Sometimes it's as simple as eggs over easy. I, teen male, am the middle child, with my older sister being 23 and my younger sister being a young teen now. 5 years ago, there was a car accident, and my older sister, I'll call her Natalie, got banged up very badly. Most of it she got better from, but she's mute now from damage to her vocal cords. Natalie gets by very well with sign language. However, our parents have consistently refused to learn ASL. They always insisted that Natalie could write anything out, that text-to-speech is good enough if she didn't want to carry around a pen and paper. Most of her teachers were like that too, but I get it for them, she's just one student and they're busy. These are our parents. Natalie and I FaceTime a lot because I did learn sign language for her, and it's how she prefers to communicate. She texts my parents okay, but my parents want to use the text to replace the long phone calls they had with their parents when they went away to college. And Natalie just doesn't want to sit around and text with our parents for hours at a time. So they expect her to be sitting on the couch with a phone and replying as fast as possible in real time, and she's not interested. I overheard my parents complaining about this and insulting Natalie for it, and I blew up at them. I pointed out everyone who'd learned to sign for Natalie, me, multiple cousins, our grandparents, multiple aunts and uncles, the 2 boyfriends she had after the accident, one of whom cheated on her, so he wasn't exactly Prince Charming, but he still learned. Her current girlfriend and her current writing teacher in high school. So many people learned to sign for her, but never them. My parents got angry at me and told me I couldn't understand, then grounded me. Then both of their sisters, who never agreed on anything, called to tear into me. They told me that my parents both worked full-time, had 3 kids to raise, both had church responsibilities, and that Natalie and I were brats for expecting them to learn a new language on top of that. They sarcastically asked me what clubs and sports me and my little sister should have lost so my parents could spend time learning a new language when Natalie's hands worked fine. My aunts never agree on anything. We can't have activities with both sides of the family because they're so bad, but they both agree that Natalie and I are awful. So I guess I just wanted to come here and see if you would all concur that we're unreasonable and that I should apologize to my parents. Not the idiots. Parents should have been the first ones to learn ASL. If church responsibilities are more important than parental responsibilities, They should get a reality check on what the church teaches them. Also, it's not Natalie who wants those long phone calls, so they have to find the solution, not Natalie. Yeah, no church I've been to would ever prioritize commitments made over the health and well-being of their child. Holy cow! The length of the conversations they want is what stood out to me. If they're so busy they can't spend time learning ASL for their daughter, how do they have time for those long phone conversations? If they have time for those, it's by text, so they can send their messages and try to learn in between. My aunts never agree on anything. We can't have activities with both sides of the family because they're so bad. Typically, if two idiots share an opinion, that's a good indication that it's an idiot's opinion. There's a reason why your parents had to rely on these two instead of the rest of your extended family who've put in the effort and would likely side with you. They say a hit dog will holler, and your words struck a nerve with your parents because you're right. Yep, conditional love is just the best they can offer. OP, you are a good egg. Please preserve this for yourself despite the social pressure of your family. You and Natalie should have a plan though, and play this smart. As long as you're financially dependent on your parents, they have considerable power over you. The more I think about it, the more I feel bad about it, and the more I feel like an idiot. My whole life, my mother has compared me to my older sister. She would always put her on a pedestal and praise her. I could literally never win with my mother. Nothing was ever good enough. I was constantly criticized for everything. When I got engaged, things changed. My mother was excited and wanted to be involved. My partner and I wanted to elope, but my parents said that they'd paid for a small wedding as they paid for my sister's. I finally had the attention I craved from my mother, even if she judged me for everything. My sister would make snarky comments. I knew she wasn't used to not being the center of attention when it came to our mother. On my Mendy night, my sister said she had an announcement while I was getting ready. She announced that after years of infertility, she was pregnant. Everyone was super happy and started congratulating her. It was like my mother had forgotten about me. The rest of the evening, she neglected me, and my sister loved all the attention she was receiving. I get that it's exciting. She's finally pregnant after how long with the first grandchild, but this was calculated. She purposely did this at my event. Once everyone left, I contacted my partner to tell him what had happened and how upset I was. He understood why I was upset and suggested we go with our original plan and get Islamically eloped. I knew my sister would pull something else at the wedding, and my mother had messaged me once. I was tempted, but was worried about my parents spending so much money and things being non-refundable, so I called my dad. My dad understood how I felt and said to go for it. Luckily, we had a daybreak. My dad contacted the imam, and the next day my partner and I went with my dad, my uncle, my partner's brother, and my uncle to the mosque, and then went out to eat. It was honestly perfect, except my mother started calling me, so I blocked her. My partner and I booked a flight to Sydney and left. Once we got there, I unblocked my mother and told everyone on Instagram. Mine and my husband's phones have been blowing up with calls and messages from everyone calling me immature and a brat for doing what I did and disrespecting my mother. My mother's messages are all about me embarrassing her and everyone gossiping, and all the money she spent and booked on stuff for me. I feel like an idiot because I wasted that money, even though my dad said it was okay and they could still celebrate just without us. I feel bad for my husband. Everyone talks about how he married an immature brat. I couldn't fully enjoy this spontaneous trip, even though my partner and dad told me I should block everyone and enjoy my holiday. I may have overreacted. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, because it sounds like you only went through the traditional wedding in the first place to appease your mother. I find this perfectly timed grandchild after years of infertility to be suspicious. Do you have anything other than your sister's words to confirm she's pregnant? Even if your sister is pregnant, she doesn't need to take over your event. The announcement could have happened at another time. Shame on her. Your dad gave you the green light and protected you from further problems. He clearly doesn't care about the money. Your sister is your mother's golden child. My only concern is the wedding guest. The fact that your dad immediately supported you should tell you something. I'm going to give you a piece of advice from someone else who is a supportive dad. They see things. They know things. They might not tell you or outright admit it, but they know. Your father telling you without hesitation to go for it and then coming with you to the ceremony without your mother, to me means that he's seen the inequality in the treatment between you and your sister. He will probably never admit it, but he loves you, and his support, especially in defiance of your mom, to me, says more than anything else ever will. I don't know if you can get therapy or counseling where you live, but if you can, please look into it. This kind of behavior your mom displayed does invisible damage to your self-esteem and your self-worth, especially having built up over the years. Good luck and congratulations on the wedding. Enjoy your vacation. Update. Thank you everyone for your kind words and congratulations. You guys have helped me put things into perspective. Everyone's talking about my dad and cherishing him. Don't worry, I do. I have the best Abu. He understood how I felt and helped me get the wedding I wanted. I've been enjoying my time with my new husband in Sydney. The weather's been kind to us. I don't know what the weather's like back home, but I hope it's raining. I dropped my son off at preschool yesterday morning, and one of the other mothers walked by with her daughter. She's pregnant. My son asked me why she was so big. I said that she was going to have a baby and the baby's inside her for now, but we shouldn't say people are big because it can hurt their feelings. My son asked why the baby was inside and how it ate. I said babies grow in mommies until they're big enough to be outside, and that mommy eats food, and her body turns it into baby food that the baby gets through a tube. Then I poked his belly button and said that this was where his tube used to be. My son thought that was hilarious. We then put his stuff in his cubby and I left. After school that day, I got a message from another mom saying that I was gross for talking like that in the classroom. She said her son heard me and was asking her inappropriate questions. She said I shouldn't be talking about pregnancy with young children, especially boys, and I had no right to expose her son to such topics. I try to respect everyone's parenting choices, but is it reasonable to police what I say to my child because your child might overhear? I don't think the subject was inappropriate for the public. Not the idiot, and it's extremely gross that she thinks, especially boys, shouldn't know the basics of biology. Boys have an equal part in the process. You answer questions in an age-appropriate manner when asked. If she wants to pretend the stork brings babies, that's her problem. But you did nothing wrong. LOL, definitely not the idiot. You handled that perfectly. That other mom has some issues. She'll probably be homeschooling soon to avoid exposing her child to the basic facts of life. And oh, the horrors, science. She's nuts. If they're old enough to ask, they're old enough to know. If she wants her kid to believe some overgrown mythological giant stork brought her kid, then that's fine. But the kids are in for a shock. There's nothing wrong with not babying your kid. If you went into overly gross, inappropriate detail, that would be one thing. But it was a great way to describe it.